Yeah, well, this is all about money. It's about the amount of money that's generated across the economy. That's basically what gross domestic product is. And let's just kind of look at where these numbers are, and in particular why they're a concern for the Chancellor. If you have a look at monthly gross domestic product, we get a kind of monthly estimate of just how much it's going up or indeed down. And like I say, this is just how much money is being generated across the economy and how much that has changed. It is volatile. And I think this is one of the main points of caution. Yes, it was flatlining in July, but that came after a pretty strong, in fact, much stronger than expected growth in June. A better thing to do with these numbers is to kind of average them out and just look across a kind of 3-monthly period. And if you do that, you see that there was strength in the early part of this year, but it does look like maybe it's getting weaker. Maybe it's getting weaker. And if you kind of take a breakdown of the different parts of the economy, because this is looking at overall growth across everything, manufacturing, the services sector, which accounts for so much of the economy, break it down by those different parts of the economy, which is what we're doing here. This light blue is services, which is, it's by far and away most stuff that's going out and buying things. Then you can see that services stays strong. The thing that's weaker in recent months, it's manufacturing, it's production, okay? So it's making stuff. And that's also borne out when you kind of take a kind of zoom back and just look at how things have shifted in recent years. This is just showing you that level of just how much the total growth in the economy, or rather total GDP in the economy, has been in recent months. And you can see it's been going up and up gradually. And so that now, where we are right now, it is 2.8% bigger than it was back in 2022. Okay, so you've got some growth there, gradual growth, not nothing to write home about, but nonetheless, gradual growth. But now break it down, okay? So look at different parts of the economy. You can see construction's actually done a bit better than the average. Services, so that's 80% of what we do, that's a little bit better than the average. It's manufacturing that's been a little bit weaker. And have a look at this, in particular, the chemicals sector. So an area that's been really affected by those higher energy costs. Look at what's happened to chemicals. Just in the last 2 years, look at that line. Down basically, that's actually down by 20% compared with only back in 2022, so kind of 2.5, 3 years ago. It is really striking here. And that, when people talk about the deindustrialization of the UK, that is one of the things they're talking about. That is happening right now, and it continues to happen based on these latest monthly numbers. Final thing to go through is just, why is this relevant for the Chancellor? What does it mean for the budget? It comes back to this. This is the amount of headroom that supposedly the Chancellor had against her fiscal rules the last time the Office of Budget Responsibility looked at it. And you'll remember it was basically about £10 billion. And she says she wants to try and keep that if she's going to, get everything adding up. Here's the thing, okay, you've had all of these U-turns recently that have basically ground that away. Winter fuel U-turn, you had that. Still, the fiscal rules were intact after that. You've got the welfare reforms that haven't been able to go through. Fiscal rules still intact even after that. But if you start downgrading forecasts for economic growth, which you might have to do given the growth is so much weaker, just look at what starts to happen. That goes down really sharply, and then you're in the red. And that's the concern for the Chancellor. As she looks at these numbers, she'll be worried that if the Office of Budget Responsibility looks at all these numbers, says that actually growth is a lot weaker, suddenly she's missed her rules. And then we all know the debate that's been going on at the moment. Do you have to have tax rises to get that up into positive territory? So it all fits together, and that is why these GDP numbers are something the Chancellor will be focusing on.